I run things here, not you. You just live here. I run things here. This is my program. You either accept the program or reject the program. You don't want the program, that's fine. Nobody says you have to accept the program. You're free to leave and go and find a man whose program you do accept. But if you're going to be here, this is my program. And this is how things are going to go. I run this here. The buck stops here. So you either accept it or reject it. See, Jill Scott can't do that to those type of men. Because those type of men, they got their act together. They tell you up front, I'm not going to deal with your fucked up attitude. Ixnay. Take that over there. You go back to North Philly or wherever you came from with that and deal with them ain't shit niggas. They ain't got nothing else going for themselves. You take it over there with them. See, I don't disagree with the sisters who said Jill Scott shouldn't have married down. See, they don't want to deal with the other part of it. And nobody else in the black male relationship expert industrial complex, they're not going to deal with it either because they're just like Palpatine. They're seducing these black women, playing on their fears. There's a lot of money to be made on that. Okay? So the first question you have to ask yourself, sister, is, am I a Jill Scott sister or am I a Beyonce sister? Which one am I? Compare and contrast their actual performance. Compare and contrast. Which one do you want to be? Do you want to be Beyonce or do you want to be Jill Scott? You tell me. Jay-Z didn't become the most successful commercial rapper in the history of hip-hop with a net worth of $1 billion by being a fucking milquetoast. Okay? Didn't happen. Compare Jay-Z, compare Jill Scott's second hubby. You tell me who you would like to partner with, if you could. Black men that's got their act together, and there are a lot more black men that do than don't. Again, how do you explain the interracial marital market? It's been borne out. I was watching another sister that a brother, one of my listeners, put me on to. Hatshepsut is her name. She named herself after the ancient Egyptian queen. And she talked about interracial marriage and dating, and she made a powerful point. She said she showed data that bears out the fact that the more education a black man gets, the higher his chances of dating and mating out. The stats bear it out. Blackdemographics.com. Again, this ain't no special secret decoder ring here. There's no secret sauce I'm using here. You can get the information just like me. See for yourself. Black women have an interracial marriage rate 6%. Black men have an interracial marriage rate 15% and counting. The more education that a black man gets, the more he gets his act together. Financially, lifestyle-wise, education, self-development, the more he does that, the greater his chance of getting a Becky, of getting a Rachel, of getting a Mylin, of getting a Marisol. The higher the chances. And you can best believe those women do defer to their man. They defer to their man. They're not going to be talking about he can't handle a strong black man. I don't want to deal with that shit. Nobody got no time for all that dumb stuff. So there's that. Now I want to deal with the last. Number three. We want to deal with number 3. I'm still waiting on someone to tell me what's so great about males that I should need or want one. What purpose does a male serve? That's a really good question. I think that's a very, very good question. Now, my thinking is this. There are a lot of sisters out there who are situational lesbians. See, this is something we don't talk about in Black America. Usually when we talk about homosexuality, we're talking about, gay men. Because the homophobia in Black America, which largely comes from black women, expresses itself in things like the down low, which is completely scientifically unsubstantiated. That's just fear-mongering and hyperbole, once again, on the part of the Oprah Winfreys of the world. They make a cash money on that shit, playing on the fears and failures of black women in love. They ain't looking at the data. They ain't looking at the facts. We're going to be talking about this because I've been quietly behind the scenes compiling the data on that. So we're going to talk about that bullshit canard very soon here at Obsidian Radio, the voice of the everyday brother. So stay tuned. 2018, we're going to air it all out. The era of Quant going like a motherfucker here at Obsidian Radio. But see, what a lot of black women don't want to talk about is the situational lesbian piece. Now, what do I mean when I say situational lesbians? What do I mean by that? Let's address that. And how does that relate to this question? See, female sexuality is a lot more fluid than male sexuality. What do I mean by that? It's much more common for a woman, in general, I'm not saying all women here, generally, it's much more common for a woman to be sexually attracted to both men and women than it is for a man to be sexually attracted to both men and women. Usually when a man is gay, he just likes men. It's relatively rare to find a man who go both ways, so to speak. However, and there are scientific reasons for that. Once again, I mentioned a book called A Billion Wicked Thoughts. There was one listener who had a bone to pick with me about that book, and I'm going to be responding to that in the O Radio mailbag very soon, so stay tuned for that. But A Billion Wicked Thoughts explains the brain differences between men and women along these lines. Now, how does this have to do with what I'm talking about here? There are a lot of black women in the United States who have, for varying reasons, had very bad sexual and relationship experience with black men to the extent that they feel that they got to go and get with a black woman or get with a woman, period. Okay? The logic is wrong and faulty, but it does have its own internal sense of logic. Now, if you saw on Netflix the She's Gotta Have It TV show, inspired by Spike Lee's movie of the same name and fame 30 years ago, the key character there says right in the beginning, there will be no penis between us. She's going to be a situational lesbian. How did that work out for her? As a matter of fact, and I want to give a big shout out to my man Black Gnostic Speaks, he talked about this. There was a situation, there was an article that came out that revealed that black lesbians come dead last in the world of lesbians, among lesbians out on the open mating market. White lesbians, Asian lesbians, Hispanic lesbians, Jewish lesbians, Indian lesbians, Arab lesbians. They pick black lesbians dead last. Now, what do we learn from that? That it don't matter if you're going to be a carpet muncher or if you're going to be strictly dickly. Black women come dead last no matter how you slice it. Ergo, there's something going wrong with black women themselves that they need to address and are not addressing. Because if it wasn't true, black lesbians would have greater success out on the open mating market. If it wasn't true, black men wouldn't have the success that they do on the open mating market. If that weren't true, black men could go to other black societies, Brazil, Costa Rica, Jamaica, Africa, and have Dominican Republic, and have mating success there. All roads point back to, let me get my echo box here, black female fuckery. But yet black women don't address it. So you being a situational lesbian ain't going to change the situation. Black female fuckery is black female fuckery no matter how you slice it. What does a man do for you? This is a question that, now to be fair, there have been other women. Maureen Dowd wrote a book called Are Men Necessary? Well, look at Maureen Dowd and you know the reason why she wrote that book. But by and large, women of other races and are attractive and whatever, they don't talk like that. Usually the women that talk like this usually are the butthurt ones. You basically are the losers of the black female mating dance. So that's something else we don't like to talk about. We love talking about male losers in general, black male losers in particular. And again, you get no argument from me. They do exist. If you want to tell me that black male losers exist, you get no argument from me. That's true. It's just fascinating to me that we don't want to. We act as if black female losers of the mating dance don't even exist. They all winners. How does that comport with reality? It doesn't. So for anybody saying something like that, that tells me right from the rip where they're at. And it tells me as long as you got that type of mindset, you're right. No male does have a purpose in your life. Now, Darth Hideous says, she says men want to be needed, and that's a man thing. We don't understand that. I disagree. That's a human thing. Human beings want to be needed. You know, in my prior life as a skilled tradesman, blue card, union card carrying, blue collar brother, right out of high school, for 22 years of my life, I worked an average of 65 hours for 22 years straight. Average 65 hours. Now you have to ask yourself, and I often worked on the weekends. Now you have to ask yourself, where is the time there to have a marriage and a family? With that type of workload for that length of time. Not you work 65 hours, a couple days out of the year or something like that. I did this continuously, non-stop for decades. Only took one vacation. I didn't even have time to take vacation. I took one vacation. And that was at the insistence of the girl I was dating at the time. She got on me so bad, nagged the hell out of me, I finally gave in. We argued all the way down to Wildwood, and then we had some tremendous makeup sex. I understand the reason why a lot of black people, Tommy Sotomayor, want to shout him out. See, I understand the reason why a lot of black people want to fucking fight. I get it. Black Gnostic Speaks talks about it too. I understand it because the makeup sex is tremendous. You're busting all kinds of juicy, splendiferous nuts. And I'm pretty sure the black women are having multiple orgasms. I understand. Because I personally witnessed it. I personally experienced it. So I can dig it. I get it. But with that type of workload, where do I have time realistically to devote to a marriage? To devote to children? To be an involved father? Where do I have the time to be in a relationship? How's that possible? The math doesn't add up. And I understood that. I chose that life for myself. Nobody made me choose that life for me. I chose that life for myself. I made that decision. And as a consequence, I didn't have the family and a marriage and whatnot. I didn't have the time. My work was more important. And so therefore, as a consequence, I don't get those other things because I simply don't have the time. And even in a situation as a confirmed bachelor, I made it clear to the women that I did deal with, I can only offer casual companionship. You don't have to be vulgar and say I'm about fucking and sucking. You don't have to say that to a woman. You don't have to do that. You ain't got to go there. All you have to do, for all the brothers out there listening, I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom right now. All you have to do is say, if you're in a situation like me, all you can say is I can only offer casual companionship. I work a lot. I made the decision to focus all my efforts and energy and maximum brain power and ability toward my career and my chosen line of profession and work. And as a result, I do not have the time and resources and energy to devote to a long-term relationship, to a marriage, to children. And so as a result, I just have to tell you up front, and I have to say this to you before we even go any further, I can only offer casual companionship. Women understand exactly what you mean when you say that. They mean you there for a good time, not a long time. Or you there, you just about fucking and sucking, and after that, after the nuts are busted, she done had 5 or 6 orgasms. Y'all can, hang out and chop it up, enjoy a meal. Y'all might be able to go out and have a date here or there, that's something like that. But nothing beyond that. Beyond that, for the foreseeable future, nothing else is jumping off. I understood I couldn't do, you can't work that many hours, man, and be a family man too. You can't. You just can't. You can't work that many hours and be in this lovey-dovey romantic type relationship. You can't do that. You can't do it. My lady friend, I met her after I got, injured on the job and I had to take an early retirement because of the nature of my injuries. That's going to be the next question we're going to get to here. I met her after that, and I've told her numerous times since. I would not be able to devote myself to a relationship if I was doing what I was doing. I didn't get hurt, and I just continued on my present course of speed. I would not be able to do it. Now I could do a casual companionship thing, and she would have been along with that. Because a woman will get with a man on a casual companionship basis if he's the type of man she would like in that respect. Women like to bust nuts too, Women like to have a good orgasm. Women like to have something good and stiff up in them by a man that knows what he's doing in the bedroom. Of course. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But the simple truth is she would like many women would. She would like to get that, plus like to get a long-term relationship as well. That's what women want. Now, women may settle for something else, but if they had their druthers, they would prefer a long-term relationship. Well, I wouldn't be able to devote time to that if I was doing that. I just wouldn't be able to do it. You see, you have to look at. Listen, this is what you got to do, and this is true for both men and women. You got to look at yourself in the mirror. You got to get yourself. I got a big ass mirror. My man Martial Law, he know about it. I got a big ass mirror in my domicile. You got to get in the mirror, look at yourself, and dig yourself, and be honest with yourself. You got to look at yourself. I say, look, listen. This is where I am. This is who I am. What have you. It is what it is. The consequences are thus and so. And so therefore, I can't be mad when the people I'd like to be interested in are not interested in me because of the choices that I've made in my life. That's true for all of us. White people, black people, Asian people, Arab people, male, female, young, old, Republican, Democrat. That's true for everybody, man. That's not a black woman thing. That's everybody. You got to get in the mirror and dig yourself. So I'm asking black women, the woman that said, what purpose does a man serve in my life? I ask her, have you dug yourself? Have you gotten in the mirror and dug yourself? Maybe you've made choices and decisions in your life that have led to where you are right now. And as a consequence, even if the men came along that you were interested in, they won't be interested in you based on your mind state, based on your decisions, based on your track record, based on your cat facts. Are you okay with living with that consequence? See, I was okay with living with that consequence. Like I said, I chose that lifestyle. Nobody made me do it. I wasn't drafted. Nobody held a gun in my head and made me do it. I chose that. And the simple truth of the matter, I've turned down 2 marriage proposals. Ducked about another half a dozen potential situations where a woman said, well, yeah, I would like to have him help me raise my children and all the rest of that. It's not wrong for a woman that has children to want to seek a man that's going to help her raise her children. In and of itself, that's not wrong. But that's just not part of my program. I know for a fact that there's some good sisters out there that would make wonderful mothers and wives. They're in the minority. Numerically speaking, they're in the minority. I have empirical evidence to back me up on that. That's just my personal opinion. But I was not in that mind state, in that frame of mind at that point in time in my life. Do I regret it? No. I made a decision, and I live with the results of my decision. That's what adults do. It is what it is. And you have to go and dig yourself and reflect on that. And come to terms with that. So that's what I would say to this sister right here. You have to come to terms with your whole situation up to this point. Because even if you did run across a man that you would like, maybe there's something about you that he don't like about you. With that kind of mind state. If you don't make room for people in your life, no wonder you got that kind of type of thinking. I didn't make room for a wife in my life. Whose fault is that? Is that black women's fault or is that my fault? See what I'm saying here? And finally, number 4, what is your opinion about women dating a man with a disability? Now, I think this is another very, very important question. Very important question. I'm going to tell you the reason why. Once again, systems approach, methodology. What is the method? See, I love the Wu-Tang Clan, the Method Man. I love that shit. Why? Because he said, why you call you Method Man? Because I have many different methods to the way I do my shit. I got the method. What is your method? Here we go again. We have to look at the empirical data. Let's look at the empirical data. Let's say, okay, in black America, how many black men have disabilities? Let's look at that. We look at blackdemographics.com. We look at the section for black males. We look at the employment situation. We look at where in the labor market black men are working and earning. We look at the disability rate. We see there, right there on the screen, that in the 21st century, black men work in the labor, in the blue collar and skilled trades and construction and all the rest of it. We work in that sector more than anyone else. 2-to-1 to white men. More than Hispanic men. More than all the women. There's 4 times as many black men in the blue collar field as there are black women. for example. Now, since we know that's true, we know that's a fact, now we have to go to the next point. The number one victims, if you will, of workplace accidents and death are men. That's always been true historically. It's true today. It's particularly true if you work in a blue-collar field. Construction, heavy industry, machine operations, all of that, the whole Megillah. That's what yours truly did all my life. Okay? And that's true whether you're white or black, doesn't matter. But because there are more black men working in that field, ergo, it only makes sense. It's only logical. We're going to get like Surak out of Star Trek, the founding father of Vulcan logic. It's only logical then to assume that we can expect more black men to experience workplace injury and or death. In other words, become disabled. And that's exactly what we see when we look at the evidence per blackdemographics.com. Question: how does this relate to the mating market in Black America? Do black men with disability, does it have no effect on their mating life? Does it have some effect on their mating life? Does it completely remove them from the mating market? What is that? Now, we don't have any empirical data with which to go on to answer that question. So we're left to do a bit of speculation. So instead of attempting to look at the empirical data, because we don't have empirical data, I will therefore take the liberty to use my personal life as testimony to answer this question. My answer to this question, once again, the question being, what is your opinion about black women dating a man with a disability? My opinion, my personal experience is that my personal disability, I experienced workplace injuries on the job nearly a decade ago. That's what forced me to retire early. It has had no effect. No. I've compared myself when I was a much younger man, compared myself when I was hale and healthy in terms of not having workplace injuries, and then I compared myself post. No effect. My necessity, needing to get around with the aid of a cane has not impeded my ability to bend beautiful, big booty, big legged, pretty faced, small waisted women over my couch. It has zero effect. If anything, and again, nothing scientific, this is just my personal testimony. If anything, it has actually been a slight net plus. See, a lot of women want to nurture a man. That brings out their willingness to want to nurture a man if he has some type of vulnerability or disability or something. Now, I'm not saying he has to be a baby and crying and whining. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying if a brother, he clearly has had some type of injury, 9 times out of 10 we can attribute it to him being on the job. We have the empirical data to bear that out. That's just to look at that man. He was a hard-working man in his life, and he's paid the price for it. He's paid the price. But despite the fact that he's had that injury, he got himself together, got therapy and all the rest of it. He did whatever he could to mitigate against that, and he keeps on getting up and moving on with his life. I'm talking about my personal experience here. This is my personal testimony. That's what I had to do. When you listen to my what you call that, my live talk radio show, Obsidian Radio Live, heard on the Blog Talk Radio Internet Radio Network, the theme song, matter of fact, before I get to the theme song, you hear actual footage from a show I used to watch when I was a kid, the $6 Million Man. And you hear him say, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. That's what I had to do. I had to liken myself to Steve Austin. And I had to get myself together and move on with my life. Just like Steve Austin did. He had to test pilot, horrific accident, lost his limbs and all, almost died. But he was able to be rebuilt. And that's what I went through. I had to rebuild myself and start from the ground up. That's how I got into podcast. I wasn't in podcasting before that. I remember another brother last year, and I don't know his name now. It's so many good brothers contact me. Shout yourself out in the comments if you're listening to this, brother. He said something to me, made me feel so good, man. And I love hearing from y'all, emailing me and commenting and whatnot. I love hearing from you. He said, man, as a brother who actually holds a communications degree, I actually went to school for video production, how to do a news segment, how to do a documentary, how to do a radio show, how to work in sound production and sound engineering. I actually have communications degrees. He said, as a brother who actually has a communications degree, I can say that Obsidian, if he ever went to school and got a communications degree, he could actually do something with it. Because I know a lot of black people who got communications degrees, they ain't doing a damn thing with it. This brother's a natural. He's a natural for what it is that he's doing. That made me feel so good, man. I had to pat myself on the back. Take a step back and pat myself on the back when he said that. I really appreciated him saying that. It's true. I don't have any experience in doing that. I never went to school for it. Just have a natural talent and ability. And I studied other people. I studied Rush Limbaugh, studied Howard Stern, studied Tom Likas, studied Dennis Prager, studied Paul Harvey. I just listened to them, studied them. And I read some articles online and stuff, did some research, and then I just dove in and learned as I went along. I remember Professor T. Hassan Johnson, good brother. Had him on the show many times, going to have him on a lot more in the year 2018. He said, man, I'm riding down, she lives out in California. He said, I'm riding down the road listening to your show. It's just like listening to a radio show, man. It's just like listening to a radio show. He said, and it's so in the pocket with the music and the way you present yourself. It's just like listening to a radio. That's the whole point. My thing is, why can't brothers have their own radio show? Why not? Why not? Why? Everybody else can. The Puerto Rican people can have their own show. The Dominican people can have their own show. The Polish people can have their own show. White people had their own show. Rich Limbaugh talking for the conservative people. They had their own show. Black women got their own show. But black men don't have their own radio show. Why? Why not? Why? And I just got myself together. I said, okay, my career has ended. It's over. It is what it is. I got to start over and build a new life. I went through a year of grueling, painful therapy just to get myself functional again, and I had to start over. That's life. There ain't no sense in me being angry and bitter and angry and mad about it. Well, how's that going to solve anything, man? You got to get yourself together. It's hard. It's difficult. You're going to have setbacks. Problems are going to come. That's inevitable. That's part of life. But you're going to have to get yourself together. And it's going to take time. It ain't going to happen overnight. You're going to have to get yourself together and put one foot in front of the other and keep on getting up. That's what I did. And here I am today. Just like Steve Austin, the $6 million man. Okay? So for me, being disabled has no effect. And you look at other men who've been disabled. You look at Ray Charles. Ray Charles ain't had no problem getting a woman. He talks about it. I got a woman living on the other side of town. She's good to me. Stevie Wonder, he ain't got no problem getting women. He blind as the day is long. Both him and Ray Charles. Can't see for shit. Does that stop them from getting women? Steve Hawking. He done had 2 wives, man. Look him up. One of the most intelligent men that's ever lived. He's right up there with Sir Isaac Newton. He had 2 wives, man. Confined to a wheelchair, all jacked up. He had 2 wives, man. A man having a disability, no. In and of itself, in my personal opinion, again, this is not scientific. This is just my personal opinion, my personal testimony, my personal observation. No, the answer is no. It has 0 effect on his ability to get a woman. Okay? And in my case, my thing is, if I had to walk with a cane for the rest of my days, with the aid of a cane, to assist me in mobility and whatever, then damn it, get the best, sexiest canes you can. And that's what I did. I get more comments on my cane than most women do on their face. Darth Hideous. Okay? I got canes sexier than her ass. Okay? And proof by the fact I get compliments all the time. I went to go see my doctor last month. The first thing he commented on was my cane. Good crocus wood and different types of woods and whatnot. And they're specially designed for my height. I'm a man of short stature. I admit it. I'm 5'7". It was confirmed last month when I went to the doctor. I had to do the weigh-in and the height and all the rest of it. It's 5'7". But that was nothing new to me. I already knew that. So I get my canes that's designed for my height, and I go from there. Has no effect. Everything. Believe me, I tell a woman right quick. Believe me, I don't need no cane in bed. I ain't got no problem with it. I had no problem with it. Most women consider a man with a cane, because you know a cane is associated with a more distinguished man, a man of bearing, and got some sense about him. Had no problem with it, none. If anything, it's been a net plus for me. But that is an issue that I think rightly, and I don't want to give Darth Hideous her due. I think that's a legitimate question. That's a legitimate question based on the fact that more black men work in the physical fields, in the blue collar fields and whatnot. Ergo, they're going to be more prone toward getting injuries that translate into them being disabled. So that is a legitimate question. Based on my personal experience, no effect. If you're a black man that's done like I did, say, okay, let's look at first we got to look at it medically. We say, okay, what can we do about that medically? Can we mitigate against that? Is operations required? What's the situation with that? Okay, once we get that out the way, you may be like me. You may not no longer be able to do what you used to do anymore. It's just you can't do it anymore. It is what it is. So okay, where do I go from there? How do I feed myself? I was just talking to my man Dave Sims. Want to give him a shout out. Aim High Air Force. He's out of the Air Force combat controller. Same thing we was talking about that because he's disabled. As a result of his service to the country. Thank you for your service, brother. You know, you doing them jumps out of the planes and stuff like that. Tear your knees up. Tear your ankles up. It does. And that's what he experienced. Same thing, man. He still got a wife and children to feed, man. Life don't stop because he's disabled. He's just going to have to make an adjustment. That's what I did. I had to make an adjustment. Go into another field and make money with that. Here I am, Obsidian Radio, the voice of the everyday brother. I'm a full-time podcaster, talk radio show host, citizen journalist for men. Why not? And I make money at it. This is what I do. This is how I pay my bills, keep the lights on, rent paid, food in the refrigerator, and doing what I do. I'm living proof that it can be done. I'm living proof that it can be done. And I have zero problem having a woman in my life. None. Despite the fact that I'm disabled. Zero problem. So there's my answer to that. Those, ladies and gentlemen, are yours truly's answers to the 4 burning questions black women have in terms of mating and dating in the year 2018. Darth Hideous Deborah Cooper gave her take. The O Man has now given his. And now it's time for you to have your say in the comments section. And before I go, let me say also, for the fellas, you know how we do here at Obsidian Radio, because I'm going to give you the link to Darth Hideous's video. You'll be able to go over there and see it for yourself. But remember, our goal is to observe and report. We don't go to the women's spaces, arguing back and forth with them in the comment section, go back and forth and back and forth. We don't do that. They have a right to have their own space, man, and to talk amongst themselves. They have the right to do that. We got our own space where we talk among ourselves. So you go over there and listen to what she got to say, and you come back over here and we talk about it. Or you let me know what you have to say about what I've said in response. That's what our venue is for. And for the brothers who excuse me, have been asking where you been at, where and all the rest of it, it's real simple. You're listening to Obsidian Radio, which is 100% supported by listeners like you. And if you like what you heard on today's podcast talk show, heard on you on YouTube, then what the heck are you waiting for? Put 5 on it and become one of the 300 Patreons I need to stay on the air getting bigger and better. You want to know where I was at last month? You would know if you was a Patreon member or a PayPal supporter. You would know because you would have the newsletters already. You wouldn't be asking that question. That is my primary way of communicating to the friends and listeners and supporters of Obsidian Radio. If you notice, I really don't mess around a whole lot in the comment sections of my podcast for a very simple reason. I figure I got a bully pulpit. I can say what I want, all day, every day when I make my podcast. Then I need to be in the comment section dominating that too? No, let the comment section be there for people to speak. Now, occasionally, I'll interact and mix it up with the listeners. But for the most part, I try to stay out of it. Because my thing is, I already got my say. Let them have their say. For the most part. I may say a little something here and there. Keep out of it. But I ain't like some people here on YouTube. They make a video that's over an hour long. Then they all in the comments say, like, half the comments, about 300 comments, and 150 of them is theirs. Come on, man. Really. So if you want to know where I was at last month, what's going on here with Obsidian Radio on YouTube, etc., so forth, you would know if you was a PayPal subscriber, Patreon subscriber. You would know. You a premium member. You already know because I send out the newsletters, and because of the way things are at this juncture, I'll be sending out newsletters almost every day, if not every other day, because I have to keep my premium members up to speed on exactly what I'm doing, what went down the previous day or the day or what have you, and give the links and all the rest of it. And there's other things I like to discuss with my listeners and chopping it up. And like I said, I love listening to getting feedback from my listeners and stuff like that. And it doesn't have to be a sycophant thing. You can disagree. I'm open to being persuaded. So just like what I was saying with the virtue, the 4 virtues. Now I'm a confirmed bachelor, but I'm open to the possibility of a relationship. That's how me and my lady friend got together. We didn't get together on the basis of relationship first, but she demonstrated the traits and qualities that I like in a woman, and wanted more of that on a longer term basis. So I determined, okay, well, we're just going to take the casual thing, we're going to upgrade it into the relationship thing. And that's how I am in general. I'm open to being persuaded. Okay, if you got a better mousetrap, well, come on with it. I'm open to being persuaded. So it doesn't mean that you have to agree with me, man. If you disagree with me, you can write me. And you can say, okay, Obsidian, I disagree with you on this, and that. You make a superior argument. I'm with you. I'm for what works, man. I ain't got an ego investment in this thing. I'm for whatever works. If it works, I'm there. You got a better plan, I'm there. That's how I roll. Just in general. So if you like what you heard on today's podcast talk show, heard only on YouTube, then what the heck are you waiting for? Put 5 on it and become one of the 300 Patreons I need to stay on the air, getting bigger and better. All the details are going to be over on the Patreon page, www.patreon.com/Mumia Obsidian Ali. Do it right now. You'll be glad that you did. And for those who wish to become private PayPal donors, who wish to become soldados, that means soldiers in Spanish, in the invisible army here at Obsidian Radio, all you need to do is hit up yours truly first at theobsidianfiles@hotmail or at gmail.com. Please put in the subject line donations, and I'll be sure to walk you through from there. You give $5, $5,000, you give whatever you think the show is worth. We go on the honor system here. You're going to be a PayPal subscriber. We're going to roll on. We all men here. We're going to roll on the honor system. If you think the show is worth $10 a month via PayPal, do that. And every month you drop $10 on the PayPal piece. If you think the show is worth $50 a month, great. You drop $50 a month. If you think the show is worth $5 a month, great. You drop $5 on it. It's real simple. Very, very simple. And the reason why I do the PayPal piece, because I got a lot of brothers plus brothers from other mothers around the world throughout the Gamma Quadrant. They have very respectable jobs in society. And we all know how it is right now. You can't give your opinion because the job is ready to fire you because you give an opinion that upsets some woman on the job. It can't be you just give your opinion and she has her opinion. Okay, we agree to disagree and we keep on working. No, it don't work like that. You give your opinion, they don't like it. Here comes HR ready to fire you over it. I understand. That's the reason why we got the PayPal option. So you can be anonymous. Nobody has to know. It's 100% confidential. I refuse to give out the donor list. I'll eat it before I give it out and destroy every piece of equipment in here to keep from it getting out. That's how I roll. That's what that PayPal option is there for. There's a lot of respectable brothers can't be a Patreon subscriber because you go on there on Patreon and they say, okay, Mike Williams is subscribing to Obsidian Radio. He's a black women basher. Fire him. I understand. So they go through the PayPal option. And now Mike Williams, he's a PayPal donor, and nobody don't know. We have to do it like that because that's where we are in society now. That's where we are. We've gone from the home of the land of the free and home of the brave and Americana to Stalin. That's where we are now. And it's a goddamn shame. But that's where we are. That's the reality. I get emails from guys, all walks of life, respectable brothers, doctors, lawyers, military men that work in civil service, men work for the federal government, all kind of stuff. All up and down the chain, man. And they tell me all the time, man, I cannot listen to you on the job. And now what they do, and I was shocked when I first heard this, but it's true. It's been confirmed. It's true. These jobs, they go on your social media, man. You on Facebook, they go on your Facebook and see what you're saying. And if you say something they don't like, they can fire you for that. They go on your YouTube, they go on your whatever it is that you got, your Twitter, Instagram, they go up there. Oh, okay, Mike Williams said that he agrees with Tommy Sotomayor. Okay, that upsets the women. We got to fire him. They don't say, I would think that's your personal bid. What that got to do with the job, man? But that's where we are now. That's the reality. So that's the reason why I got the PayPal option. It's private. It's confidential. I'm the only one who know about it. Unless the other guy on the other end out himself, you'll never get it from me. That's what that's for. So if you can't roll the Patreon route, you can go the PayPal route. How do you do that? You email yours truly first at theobsidianfiles@hotmail or at gmail.com. Put in the subject line donations, and I'll be getting right back to you with the quickness. That's how you do that. You want to drop me a line? Kudos, comments, suggestions, observations, insults, death threats. All you got to do, theobsidianfiles@hotmail or at gmail.com. I get emails from women. I get emails from black women. You so-and-so, you a SOB, you this, you that, you a gimp. You are. I get the whole McGilla, man. Don't bother me. They have a right to their opinion, man. Just because they have an opinion don't mean that I have to agree with it. See, a lot of people think, oh, you a gimp, you a this, you that, you unattractive, you short or whatever. Just because they say that don't mean I have to agree with it, man. That's why it don't bother me. That they have a right to say it. They go ahead and say whatever they want to say. See, I believe that. See, that's the thing about the founding fathers that was great. See, people have the right to say what they want to say. They get it off their chest, and then they go on ahead and go about their business, and they don't hurt themselves or hurt somebody else. It's when people don't feel that they have a right to express themselves. That's where we got problems. They don't feel they being heard, then they got to go to the gun. That's the great thing about democracy, man. You got a right to say what you want to say, and it's peaceful. And just because they say it don't mean nothing. So what? So what? So what? Some broad emails me and she thinks I'm a troll looking gimp guy. So what? So what? That's her opinion. She had a right to do it. Okay. I want to thank her for listening to the show. She took the time out of her day to listen to over an hour of Obsidian Radio, then go and email me. What's that all about? That tells me I'm doing my job. I'm successful. Now, when you become a Patreon subscriber, PayPal donor, premium member, either way, of Obsidian Radio, when you become a friend and supporter of Obsidian Radio by becoming a premium member, this is what you get. Among other things, you go on the mailing list to receive the exclusive and official Obsidian Radio newsletter. That's where I talk about a lot of stuff behind the scenes. I don't like to talk about behind the scenes stuff on the air. Everything ain't meant for public consumption. I only share that with the premium members. And premium members get other stuff. That's how that works. So if you one of those dudes last year talking about, Obsidian, where you been? Obviously, you're not a PayPal subscriber, PayPal donor. Obviously. Obviously you're not. Obviously you're not getting the newsletters. So how do we rectify that? Let's go back to our systems approach. Let's go back to our methodology. How do we solve that? We solve that by you becoming a Patreon subscriber, PayPal donor. That's how you solve it. Then you go down on the mailing list, you get the newsletters. This time next year, you won't be talking about, I didn't know you was doing this. Where you at? I thought something happened to you. You won't be saying that because you'll be in the loop. See how that worked there? That's how you solve problems. We got the capacity to solve all kinds of problems. This is the United States, greatest country known to humanity. Greatest country on the planet. We can solve all kinds of problems, man. Whatever the problem is, we can solve it. We had a problem with slavery, we solved it. Had a problem with putting a man on the moon? We solved it. Had a problem with communism? We solved it. Had a problem with Jim Crow? We solved it. Had a problem with women not getting equal pay for equal work? We solved it. Had a problem with rape? We solved it. Whatever the problem is, we can solve it. We just gonna have to have the will to want to solve it. And we have to start out with a systems approach and the methodology. That's why I use CompStat. That idea of CompStat. We can solve crime. CompStat proves it. Look at New York City today. New York City is a far cry from where it was in the 80s and 90s. I'll tell you that right now. We solved it. CompStat. Any problem that we get, we Americans, we can solve it. We can solve whatever the problem is, as long as we got the systems approach and we got the methodology. Now, see the problem in Black America, we don't have that. We got everything. We got anarchy. That's what we got. In the absence of order. That's what anarchy means. The absence of a systems approach. The absence of a methodology. The absence of the method man. We got anarchy. And that's the reason why we can't solve anything, because we have no approach, no systems approach, no methodology, no method, no empirical data, no research. We just got emotive opinions that don't mean anything. And that's the reason why we can't get anything done. We barely are able to create the wheel. Meanwhile, white America's fucking Star Trek NCC 1701 rising out of the ocean and going to warp speed. And then we want to say it's racism fault. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's us not having order. That's what the problem is. Got nothing to do with racism, man. And that's proof out of it. Look at Asian people. There's racism with them too. You know, Asian people had to deal with racism too, you know. They were interned in camps and stuff like that during World War II, you know. They had to deal with Jim Crow too, you know. How you explain that? See, you say something like that, then they call you a coon. Anyway, you've been listening to Obsidian Radio, and this thing's really going long, so I'm going to have to divide this up. I'm going to upload the whole thing on Patreon, the whole thing in its entirety, but on YouTube, because of the YouTube limitations that I have to deal with, I split this up into 2 parts. So see, that's another reason why you want to be a Patreon subscriber. You get the whole download on Patreon. With you know, you ain't got to listen to part 1, part 2. But yeah, I'm going on here. I really have a good time doing this. I've been very blessed and fortunate to be able to have a second life, retire early, and have a talent and an ability to do something and be good at it and to actually make money at it. That's what America's all about, man. That's what America's all about. There are places in the world I couldn't do this. It couldn't happen. You know? That's the reason why, you know, I know a lot of some black people, they listen to me, say, oh, he a coon, you sell out Uncle Tom, whatever. No. It's that I just read and study history and study other people's lives, stuff like that. And, you know, I'm not saying America is perfect. I'm not saying America don't have its problems. Of course. Life is imperfect, man. But it's a far sight better than other places in the world, I'll tell you that. Nobody's leaving the country, man. All this Ungower, black power, black supremacy, white supremacy, and all the rest of it. You don't see them people voting with their feet now, do you? They stay in their ass right here saying, talking cash shit, stay in their ass right here. There's a reason for it. Because this is the last best hope of humanity. That's the truth. And I'm living proof that America works. I'm living proof of it. That it works. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it doesn't have problems. But it does work. I'm living proof of that. Name another brother with my background doing what I'm doing right now. I'll wait. So if you like the show, you like the concept, you like what it is that I'm standing for here, you like the idea of men in general, black men in particular, the everyday brother most especially, having their own talk show that speaks to their interests, their concerns, the issues of the day. You like the idea of Thinking Black Men's Radio, where some assembly is required. You like the idea of the voice of the everyday brother. You like that. What the heck are you waiting for? It's the new year, man. How long are you going to have to take for you to support the show? I got a email. I got to say this, and I'm going to get off it real quick here. I swear I'm going to end it after this. Last year, I got an email from a brother who shall remain nameless. He emailed me. He said, man, I've been listening to your show for 2 years now. And I said, God damn it, I got to sign up. And while I was appreciative of him, becoming a premium member, no doubt. I appreciate that. I appreciate your continued support. I got to ask, what the fuck took you so long, man? It took you 2 years before you figure out you got to sign up, man? It took you that long? Really? Anyway, I'm going to give it up and turn it loose here. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, by the way, to the YouTube channels as it's currently constituted. Again, I talk about all this in the newsletters. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channels here on Obsidian Radio, the ever-expanding Obsidian Media Network universe. Please don't forget to bang the bells so you'll know and get the notifications on your smartphone, Brother Man's tricorder, every time the old man drops something fresh, some fresh hot plasma coming right out the kitchen back there. And last but not least, please don't forget to share this with a brother that you know, love, and respect. The life you save may very well be his. My name is Mumia Obsidian Ali, and I approved this message, you dark side Sith having bitches. Please stay tuned. We will be coming back. Peace.